Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I've got a MacBook Pro here. This is, I think it's a 2017 Function Keys model. And it's got a bus display assembly, or rather the display cable is damaged. We lose the backlight at most angles, but if you have it open just a little bit, then it works. At any rate, we're replacing the display assembly on this guy. So this is only actually my second time doing one of these. I'm kind of scared of these ones. But on the other hand, the cost of the display assemblies has come down on them significantly to the point where I'm a lot less scared of them now. I think when I first started looking at these, the display assemblies were like £500, £600, that kind of money. They were really expensive, and it was like, yeah, I'm not touching that. The amount of money that I can charge for labour on this job is not worth the risk of me damaging the laptop or the display assembly. So yeah. However, as I say, the display assemblies on these are now significantly cheaper, so I now have a go at them. So we'll get started. The first thing we've got to do is take the bottom panel off. It's not a big deal, this job. It's just fiddly. There are some really small screws, and there's a ridiculous number of screws that you have to take out. And just everything on these laptops is difficult now. It's, again, this is the principal reason why I've completely fallen out of love with Apple. They are just unreasonably difficult to work with. Like, even just taking off this bottom cover is just hard work now. I need to find a prying tool. And we've got to pop this bottom cover. I think it's mostly popped already, actually, but there we go. That looks good. We've just got to run this around the edges so it makes horrible noises like that. Okay, and then we pull it toward the front of the laptop. Oh, there we go. Oh, hello. That's had a new battery in it. And whoever put the new battery in it, what the hell? This has also had a new display, because it's got a thing on it. Huh. Alright. Man, this thing's had some work done. Why is there that across there? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Alright. So what's going on here? So this thing has had a replacement battery in it. There's supposed to be a cover across this part. However, the cover doesn't really go back on properly. So what they've done is they've just put a bit of tape across it, which is... they've just used ordinary masking tape, which is not very elegant. I'd have used Kapton tape. I'll rephrase that. I will use Kapton tape, but whatever. Fine. Okay. So yeah, this battery is clearly third party. They haven't even taken off the packaging materials, which I am now going to remove just because, yeah, I don't know, those do not need to be there. That's supposed to be removed. And the display assembly, it looks like it has been replaced before, because that looks like it's, I mean, that's not an Apple sticker at the very least. So yeah, that's that. I wonder if that's anything to do with the fact that with why it's failed. But yeah, hard to tell. Right, okay. So step one, we need to disconnect the battery. You'll notice I've kept the laptop open. The reason for that is that the laptop is currently off. I've verified that the laptop is off. However, these laptops have an auto start feature. So if I close the lid and then I open it, it may automatically turn on. So the laptop is off. I'm leaving it exactly as it is until I can disconnect the battery. So let's do that now. I'm going to undo this guy, pull that out. And now we're going to grab a T5 and disconnect the battery. Now this battery latch is also horrible. I'm going to take this screw out. I'm just using my nails just to hold this down. Get that out of the way. And then we're just going to cleanly open this up and just go, whoop, there we go. And that's literally the battery contacts that I've just bent upwards there. It's just horrible things, horrible things. I don't like working on these at all. Fine, our battery is now disconnected. So it is disarmed. So now I can close the lid, so I'm going to do that. So the first thing we need to do is remove these hinge covers from each side. Now we're immediately going down to a T3 screw. That's right, Torx 3. So yeah, immediately out of the range of what most people have in their toolkit. I think a lot of multi-bit screwdriver sets will probably come with a T3, but obviously you want to make sure you've got one of these before you get started. Let's take those guys out. You've got to be really careful not to just immediately destroy tiny screws like this. And we'll repeat for the other side. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is we've got to remove these little covers across the cables here. There should be another cover here that braces the display cable, but that's missing on this laptop, so can't remove that. Let's take these guys off. We're still on the T4 here, so and just open the display cable. I'm hoping that this guy isn't our problem, because if this dude is our problem here, then replacing the display assembly is not going to solve anything. So fingers crossed that that's not the issue here. Right, now that is done, we now need to remove the screws on these antenna covers, and also these screws and these screws. So I'm going to take all these small ones out first. So I've now got to drop into a 2mm pentalobe, I think it is. S2, yeah, which is 0.8mm. Alright, that's those out. Now we're going to step up to T5, which seems to be enormous by comparison. Right. And disconnect the antennas. That guy needs to come out as well. And now we just need to unseat the antennas, which on these, that's just come loose straight away. Because this one has been replaced before, I think this is giving me an easy time. If it's the first time the display assembly has come off of your laptop, which it probably is, you may get a bit more resistance from this guy, and you need to just get a prying tool around the edges of it just to free things up a bit. However, this guy's ready to come out. And I've just got to thread these antenna wires under this bridge here. There we go. Now we're back onto the T3 screws, and we've got to take out these guys here. So these are weird little spring-loaded mechanisms that are supposed to help the display ribbons here sort of fold and unfold gracefully. Again, a ridiculously elaborate assembly. I know I sound really jaded, but just when you take one of these apart, especially if you're someone who is accustomed to taking apart laptops, you'll look at this and just be like, there must have been an easier way of this. You know, how is it that they made this so elaborate just for a display cable? A little bit of liquid damage hiding in here as well. That might be part of our issue. Nothing serious, but I can see shininess, which is smudging under my fingertips. So yeah, there might be liquid damage hiding in there. Alright, so now all of this mechanism is all completely free. We are now ready to actually unbolt the display assembly. So now we go into these corners, and we've just got these big boys to take out. So what are these, T8s? Yep, T8s. So I'm going to leave one screw in, because in a minute I've got to actually open up the display assembly. So we'll just take out the easy ones. And unscrew the last two. So keep in mind, as we take these two bolts out, the display assembly is now loose in the laptop. Now, because it's hanging, it's secured for me, but just be aware. And now we can just open that up a bit more and ease this dude out. There we go. That's our display assembly off. So my display assembly I purchased from eBay. There are probably cheaper sources for it. You could probably get one from AliExpress or something like that for less money. Depends on how much you want to wait for and how easy you want it to be to return if necessary. However, eBay generally doesn't let me down. So, just taking off some bits of packaging here. Right, I'm going to open these hinges all the way. And just gently guide this all in. Come on. Something's not sitting right there. It's not you guys. Oh, there we go. One side is in and the other side's in. There we go. Alright, that's now hanging, so that's secure again. So I'm just going to get a bolt in on either side just so it cannot fall off anymore. And I'm just going to make sure that none of this is getting trapped while I'm working, which it is not. And now I'm going to close the lid entirely. Now I'm just going to back those screws out slightly and make sure that the display assembly is aligned. So to make sure that the lid is lined up and isn't crooked on the laptop. So I'm just feeling with my fingers just to make sure all the edges line up, which they do. And now I'll just nip this one up just to hold everything in place. And the rest of these big bolts can go back in now. Right, now we've just got to do everything in the reverse that we took it out. So firstly, we've got to get these little spring-loaded boys back in. So with these, I need to make sure they've turned over too far, as you can see. So I need to sort of grab one and just hold it in place and get a screw in there. The springs on these are not particularly strong, so this isn't difficult, it's just a little bit fiddly. So that's one screw in. As you can see, it's trying to kick out because it's under spring tension. So we'll just get the other screw in. There we go. There we go. That's one side. Sorry if I bump the camera. The camera is a little bit close. I will bump it now and then. There we go. Right, that's those guys in position. So now I can bring the antenna assembly back in. So I'm going to thread those antenna wires back under that bridge, as I shall call it. And sit him back in place. There we go. And we'll get the screws for this back into place. T5 in there. And as you can see, this guy has room for adjustment on it, so I'm just going to back that out slightly and just get the antennas plugged in, and then I'll screw that down, just to make sure that that sits in the position that it's most comfortable. And now we'll just tweak that guy up. Good. Right, and we can put in the rest of the screws now that hold this all in. So still on the T5. So the guys on the outside, so this guy and this guy over here, they have the stepped screw. So you can see that screw has a big old step on it. and then the inner ones use the non-stepped screw. And again, I'm not going to tighten these yet, I'm just putting them in loose, and that just allows this just to self-locate. And I'm just checking that the antenna, the small screws are lined up, because they're looking slightly out at the moment. If you have a look over here, I'll just show you what I mean, just so you can see what to watch out for. You see on that end one where we're just not quite on the holes yet. And these screws are so small that you really don't want the screw to be locating the big device into place. So I'm just going to back all these screws out just a half turn and just give all of this just a wobble and make sure that those screw holes line up nicely. Yeah, that looks better. I'm going to hold that in place and just tweak that screw. Yeah, that'll do it. I'm happy with that. Right, now let's put in all the stupid tiny screws. I strongly advise you have a magnet on your screwdriver for these guys, because if you drop one, it's gone. I am not using a magnet on my screwdriver, however, I understand the risk. Unfortunately, I do not have a I don't have a wearer for this size, or a long screwdriver, so I'm using a multi-bit job, and it's hard to get magnets onto these guys. It's one of the reasons why I prefer to use long screwdrivers like these most of the time, because it's really easy to just stick a magnet on them, and with a magnet on them you instantly get magnetized, so nice and easy. However, when you're using multi-bit drivers, that's a lot trickier to accomplish. You need a much stronger magnet, and also the magnet tends to get in the way more as well. I'm also being careful not to go more than finger tight with these, like literally just tips of the fingers tight, because if I try and go any tighter, you'll just immediately shear the screw off. These screws are not designed to be load-bearing, they're just holding things in place. So just down to the stop, and then that's it. Alright, that's all of those guys in. So now we can put on all of our little covers, I believe. Yep, that's right, we're up to covers. Alright, I'm going to put on the display cable. So fold that down and just make sure that's aligned. Clicking down into place. And get the cover on that to make sure that it can't pop out. Right, and on these little cover bars here, as you can see, it's got a slight lip on it. There you go, you can see in the light there, it's got a slight lip that is closer to the bottom right now. That goes toward the back of the laptop. Now it may look like we're flattening this cable, and we are a little bit. However, we're not pinching the cable. The cable is actually loose under this cover. What we're doing is just making sure that it's not dragging on anything. However, I think I can give this a little bit of a wiggle with some tweezers just to show you what the action of this is. So as you can see, that has got a little bit of wiggle under there. And that will wiggle at both sides. So what's happening there is it means that as the display assembly opens and this cable gets drawn tight, it can just pull through and then it can revert back as the display opens and closes. So yeah, it's a very, very elaborate wind and unwind mechanism, essentially. I say elaborate, just, yeah. I'm not convinced it needed to be this complicated. However, we'll see. I'm expecting one of two types of comments on this video. Either a lot of people going, oh, that's a really stupid design. Or people going, no, actually, it's this way because of this reason. And I would welcome either, to be honest. I'm sure there's a reason for this. But, I don't know. When I see a design this overly complicated, I can't help but think that they should have gone back to the drawing board and found a way to do it simpler. Keep it stupid simple? Keep it simple, stupid. Right. Because after all, I'm 99% certain that this was a cable issue with this laptop. And on the vast majority of laptops, damaged display cables just aren't a thing. Every now and then there's a couple of models where it can happen. There are a few models where they've done a daft hinge design that's put undue stress on the cable. However, in the vast majority of laptops, you very, very, very rarely get damaged display cables. Of course, assuming that someone hasn't, torn it off or something dumb like that, It very rarely gets fatigued. Right, I think we're done. Oh, hinge covers and then we're done. There we go. Okay, I've run out of bits to put back in the laptop. So I'm now going to reconnect the battery and then I think we can turn it on. So I'm going to get my battery screw ready. So what I want to do is I want to press this battery contact back down and I want to hold it down while I put the screw on so it doesn't bounce, basically. Which probably won't do any damage, but you don't really want to do that. That's like having a plug half wiggled out of the socket. It's not a good idea. Right, here we go. And bam. There we go. And put in the data cable. Right. And with the cover for this being absent, I'm going to grab some Kapton tape. So the great thing about Kapton tape, which is this weird metallic-y looking stuff, it's principally used because it's heat resistant, very heat resistant. But the other thing about it is, I don't know what kind of adhesive they use on Kapton tape, but it doesn't fatigue very easily. Uses a very odd kind of adhesive that just doesn't really want to come off. Or rather, it doesn't really lose its stickiness. So it works much better. Whereas if you use like sellotape or masking tape, that will quite likely just fatigue over time. I'll stick that across there. I don't think this is super necessary. It's just a minor precaution. I'm fairly certain that the back cover of the laptop, the metal here, is not capable of getting down and touching anything down there. However, it's kind of a case of you absolutely do not want the back case to go down and touch anything down there at all. Bad things will happen. So for the sake of just sticking some tape across there just to cover that up, we shall do that. There we go. Right, that's done. And, phew. That took, for a minute, I could have sworn I could see a what was that? Oh, did you see that? Oh, that doesn't look right. Are you all right? I think it's all right. However, the battery is on 6%. So I tell you what I'm going to quickly do. I'm going to hit shut down. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this on charge. I'm going to leave this to get some charge in it. I'm going to put the back cover on. I'm confident enough to put the back cover on now. So I'm going to put the back cover on, put the screws in, get some charge into it, and then we'll just turn it on one more time. And we'll just give it a couple of turn-ons and turn-offs just to make sure that we don't get any of that weirdness. Because I don't know if you saw the backlight. It came on and off a few times, and then we got some weird color issues there. And I was like, oh, I don't like the look of that at all. I'm sure it's fine. It may have just been the laptop just having a bit of a hissy fit because it all got unplugged and SMC reset and all of that. But yeah, I'm not going to take any chances there. I want to make sure that this is actually solved because it was technically an intermittent fault. Okay, let's put that guy on. Yeah, literally just so it's not quite on. You want to get it to about there, and just so you can press these sides in like that. And then just slide it back. And that'll sit down. There we go. Right, we've had some time. Let's see how this is looking now. Open. Powering on. Now I'm watching just to see if it does any more weird stuff. Nope, no weird stuff there. That's fine. 20% battery now. Good, I'm happy with that. And I'm just going to test some screen angles as well. So we're at maximum open. I'm just going to very slowly close it. That's fine. And a bit of... yeah, that's all good. All right, so to close out, we'll do a nice peel. Oh, yes. Right, so thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. Not as bad as I expected. The first time I did this job, it felt like it took forever. That one didn't take very long at all, and to be honest, next time I could probably do it much faster. Not as scary as it looks, that job. It's just a matter of having the right screwdrivers. If you go into that with the wrong screwdrivers, you will just get stuck immediately. Good. So stick around for the end card. Links are down in the description for my Discord, my Patreon, and my Twitter accounts. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.